Hi, I'm Dr. Vincent Ho. I'm a gastroenterologist and a senior university lecturer. I'm also the gut doctor.
Hi there, and welcome to our second animation in this series. Chances are you've thrown up at least once in your life, and you might have wondered how this process actually works. So in this video, we're going to look inside the human body and find out what happens during vomiting.
The story of how vomiting or emesis occurs is a fascinating one. Vomiting is the forceful expulsion of the contents of the stomach. The emetic response involves coordination of two different pathways and their receptors by an area in the brainstem known as the emetic center. Now, those two different pathways are the central and the peripheral pathway. In the central pathway, the signals that trigger vomiting come directly from areas of the brain itself, such as the cerebral cortex, higher parts of the brainstem, thalamus, hypothalamus, and the vestibular system. They directly go to the emetic center. On the other hand, in the peripheral pathway, the signals that trigger vomiting are carried by long nerves such as the vagus and splanchnic nerves from receptors in the gut itself. These peripheral pathway signals can go directly to the emetic center, or they can go first to a specific area of the brainstem known as the chemoreceptor trigger zone. This is an area of the brain that's located outside the blood-brain barrier. This means that it's exposed to circulating toxins, and in response to an abnormal concentration of such toxins, such as bacterial or metabolic products, certain types of medications, it can send off signals to the emetic center to trigger off vomiting. The chemoreceptor trigger zone contains receptors for different neurotransmitters. These include neurokinin 1, or NK1 for short, dopamine, serotonin, acetylcholine, and the neurotransmitter substance P. When stimulated, each of these receptors give rise to pathways leading to nausea and vomiting. NK1 is present in high concentrations in both the emetic center and the chemoreceptor trigger zone. Substance P binds very strongly to NK1 receptors and appears to be involved in the final common pathways that give rise to vomiting. Now let's talk about what actually happens during a vomiting event. There are three phases of the vomiting reflex. These are the pre-ejection, ejection, and post-ejection phases. Nausea often, but not always, precedes vomiting, and it's often accompanied by other symptoms such as increased salivation, shivering, fast heart rate, palpitations, and the stomach movements slow right down. Deep inspiration or drawing a deep breath in is occurring. Food contents begin to move from the small intestine into the stomach because of reverse peristalsis. The pyloric sphincter, which is the valve that separates the stomach and small intestine and the stomach wall, relax, allowing food contents to fill the stomach. An involuntary reflex called retching marks the beginning of the ejection phase. In retching, there is an intense rhythmic contraction of the muscles of the chest wall, diaphragm, and abdomen. The pyloric sphincter is closed off, the pressure within the abdomen rises, and the pressure within the chest or thorax is lowered. This intense contraction of abdominal wall muscles during retching forces the content of the stomach into the esophagus. Indeed, the contractions are so strong that the top of the stomach temporarily prolapses into the esophagus. During retching, the glottis, which is the opening between the vocal cords, closes off so that food doesn't go into the airways. A feeling of fatigue and muscle weakness marks the beginning of the post-ejection phase after stomach contents have been expelled. During this post-ejection phase, the airways are still protected as the larynx rises and the upper esophageal sphincter closes off. This cycle of pre-ejection, ejection, and post-ejection can repeat again and again until all the stomach contents have been expelled.
Thanks for watching, and I hope you found that animation informative and interesting. We'll take the discussion further in my website, GutDr.com, where there's an interactive blog covering different aspects of the gut, and you can ask your questions and share your stories. If you want to learn more about the gut, please subscribe to this YouTube channel, and you can check out our social media links down below. Our next video will cover the science behind a very common symptom, bloating. I'm Dr. Vincent Ho, and I'll see you next time.